the Mars and cars now, whichever get up. Light up my scarred with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. Say, oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Stay Weighed-In show, presented to you by iBoxingHub in association with our sponsors, D-Rock Clothing. This feels weird. I feel like Teofimo Lopez, and I'm just wondering, do I still got it?
No.
Do I still got it?
Take two. I feel so upset because first and foremost, it's always FTO. But I was gonna say, finally, Abbas has come back to stay weighed in.
That was sensational.
Come on, man.
Was sensational.
Come on, man.
Listen, that might be the nicest thing you've ever done on this show.
Come on, man.
I still hate you, boy. I still hate you, boy. But that was the nicest thing.
Which one? I got plenty.
Fit Mexican. The Fit Mexican, which we're going to talk about.
That's not even my boy. Yeah. That's not even my boy, but we're going to talk about him. But first of all, welcome back and Eid Mubarak to those that observed Ramadan this season.
I appreciate that, man. Listen, I took a little break off. Even took a little break from the boxing as well, you know. It was a bit quiet.
Sometimes you got to do a nice little reset.
Reset. And listen, how are you, Ray? How is life?
Oh, listen, man, I'm doing all right. I've taken a step back a bit just to, life is life, and so I got to make sure that's all good. But yeah, no, it's good, Shout out to Ashanti once again for when we needed him. He stepped up to the plate, and he'll be back again soon. He's requested a specific episode, so I've told him.
I think I know which one is.
Well. Yeah. So
we know that. We got to find
when that fight is upcoming, which I think is it 2 weeks, 1 week.
2 weeks, yeah. Wait,
so,
we're on the 2 weeks.
He'll be back soon. He'll be back
2 or 3 weeks, yeah. No, I rate it. But yeah, let's go straight into it. 1 second, right?
Your favorite
like a man who's been fasting for 30 days. Wait, are you saying I'm fat? Are you saying I'm fat? I've been to the gym.
Come on, man.
Listen, I have 19% body fat right now.
Jeez.
My goal to get to 140 is happening. So
real slimmers.
Nah. But then let's go to your boy David Benavidez, Dimitri Bivol. Mm-hmm. The news broke yesterday, kind of got confirmed in the early hours of today that Dimitri Bivol is dropping the WBC title in favor of the trilogy with Benavidez, and that makes David Benavidez officially the WBC champion. Can you call him a paper champion or not?
No, email champion is the term.
Email champion, that's the one, yeah.
This is where it gets techie. Because, we have Ra who's trying to take down a certain empire who was calling out Bivol. And I said, you cannot call Bivol a duck because you don't duck and then face Benavidez. That it's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. However, at the same time, Eric of the iBoxingHub family also mentioned one thing which I think is significant. He goes, let's not forget how WBC had treated the Russian fighters before Turkey came in. He put the embargo on the Russian fighters, not being able to fight for the belt. Obviously, Benavidez had to fight under his Canadian citizenship. Bivol, on the other hand, I believe, he is of different nationalities, but he wasn't looking to budge on not fighting under the Russian flag. So he didn't get a chance at the WBC shot until Turkey had to step in, and basically everyone got paid. And all of a sudden, WBC's morals somehow subsided because they got paid. So part of me also thinks this is Bivol doing an FU to the WBC and being like, I don't need you guys here. I'm already undisputed. Take your title back. And we're here now. And Benavidez, ironically, I didn't realize his last fight was for an interim WBC title against, who did he beat again? Morel. I didn't realize that was for the interim title. So when he got elevated to champion right away, it was a bit of a shock to me until I believe Trey confirmed to me that it was for the interim. So I think it's also a shame for Benavidez, because I'm sure it's bittersweet for him. I'm sure he's happy to be champion, but I'm sure that with the progress that he's been putting in, with the work he's been putting in, I'm sure he would have rather gotten it in the ring. But he can take it back to the States and become the Mexican monster if he's really that guy.
Well, realistically, there's one Mexican monster. Even though he's not fighting the guys you want to fight, there'll only be one.
He's not. No. He is himself. Let's not.
He's the man that runs boxing without running boxing. Personally, for me, Canelo.
You know what? You do too much. Go on.
No, you know my point. But I wanted to ask you this, right? Is this a way for Turkey just to get another one-up on everyone? Because I remember when Canelo, I think, did his press conference or something like that, and Turkey kind of just said the Ring magazine is that title.
Yeah.
Like, we can get rid of everything. I think Mauricio Suleiman was a bit annoyed at that as well. And now you look at a guy in Dimitri Bivol who's undisputed, has stripped and let go of the WBC belt and said, I'm going to fight and stick with Turkey in Saudi and fight against better BF. Is that just another, like I said, a big FU to the WBC, and that's a one-up on Turkey?
I think for Bivol, it might be an FU. For Turkey, it's a power move in saying... what I think what happened was WBC basically finally pulled their weight, because boy, did they take their time pulling their weight for Benavidez. But we'll leave that conversation.
So no, this is the thing. I don't think they pulled their weight.
On the side. Let's finish this point on Benavidez. I think WBC tried to pull their weight and say, obviously everyone was calling for this trilogy between Bivol and Beterbiev. And WBC tries to pull their weight and say, listen, before you do that, we want this, mandatory WBC title shot. And Turkey was probably like, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but we don't need you like you think we need you. The Undisputed's already happened. Take your belt back.
Yeah.
As Wiley would say, take it back. So I think that's what's happened. I think it is a power move. It's a combination. I think it is a power move and an FU. It's a power move in saying we don't need you anymore, but it's a FU in saying don't try, use that power that you think you had before. Let me show you how powerless you are against me. Take your belt.
Ross brought this in, right? And he said, I'm guessing the American fan base will create a bubble around Benavidez and call him the real champion.
He's a real champion.
Maybe it's just me looking at it. I don't look at David Benavidez as someone with a lot of pull or that great of a fan base. I think his fan base is actually created more so of people who dislike Canelo Alvarez.
This is so... I knew... Well done. I didn't see this angle coming. Well done.
Can you sit here and genuinely disagree with that? Benavidez has fans for Benavidez rather than a disdain for Canelo Alvarez.
I believe there's truth in the middle, but let's not go to the extremes. Do I believe that Benavidez has a fan base of his own? Definitely. Do I believe that there's a lot of people that just wanted to see Benavidez versus Canelo? Most definitely. However, with the Canelo situation, I think it was a case of we were seeing the opponents that Canelo was facing, and we was just like, these challengers ain't as good as Benavidez. So that's why people are getting tired of seeing, come on, bloody Berlanga, Munguia. And it's evident because guess what? Once Benavidez left, no one cares about Canelo's opponents no more. No one cares. No one cares about Canelo's opponents no more. Now that Benavidez has left the division, I think it was a case of...
But I'm going to counter this.
They both needed each other, but obviously Benavidez needed Canelo more.
I'm glad you said that, because I was just going to say, does anybody care about Benavidez's opponents? Because I personally don't. The Morrell fight, fine, because it was just a headline fight to a point where for PBC, I was like, that's the best we can put on. But in true actual fact, do we really care about David Benavidez right now as WBC champion?
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially. And here's the thing. This is now where it comes into who's going to play ball. Obviously, Beterbiev and Bivol, they're going to handle their rubber match, which Benavidez is my guy. I was happy that he won the first fight. What I saw from the second fight, I don't see Benavidez getting a win in the third fight. I think Father Time's caught up. He's still better than the rest of the division, but Father Time's caught up with Benavidez. So on Benavidez' side, I think he just needs to be patient, waiting for Bivol and Benavidez to have their match. And now it's up to the rest of the division to step up, because let's be honest, before, let's say from about, what year we're in, 2025, from 2023 and backwards, we thought the UK fighters had the best light heavyweights. Light heavyweight was looking interesting because you had undefeated Boachi, you had Yard, who had just come off, the fight with Benavidez, which was an exciting fight. Is that 2024, 2023? Is that beginning of 2024?
It might have been Jan 24.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's say, we had Yard, let's say Yard pre-Arta. Then we also had Craig Richards, who put in an excellent performance against Bivol himself. Then we also had Smith, who's, he's had a bit of resurgence now, but he was looking good at light heavyweight, just re-establishing himself after, getting beaten up at super middleweight. So I think light heavyweight was looking good, and then he went through a bumpy ride. Let me not even say bumpy ride.
It took a ride where everything just centered around.
It went for European dominance, and then Arta and Bivol just said, you know what, we're levels above you guys, and they showed it. So I think now the rest of light heavyweight, with Benavidez and Bivol doing this rubber match, the rest of light heavyweight needs to take the initiative and say, I'm going to be the guy. So whether it's Yard, whether it's Craig Richards, whether it's Smith, I honestly feel like Smith and Benavidez is a great fight.
Yeah.
Whether Matchroom will make that, I won't even say whether Matchroom will make that.
PBC.
This is on PBC now, to see if PBC will play ball, because PBC are not in a position to move stingy like they have before. And if they were for the best of Benavidez' career, they need to now play ball more than ever now.
Do you know what I look at? I'm like, okay, whatever happened with Canelo Alvarez, again, I've always said this, my personal belief is we will get that fight. But that aside, just literally is that you now have Benavidez elevated as a champion. You have a division where you strip the other two, the big two out, which we'll talk about soon. It's Benavidez versus all to a point. Like, he can technically, in some way, when he fights these guys, he'll probably go in as the favorite of them all. Here's your chance. Make me care about David Benavidez without the association of Canelo Alvarez. If you can do that, fine. Like the same way I started caring about Canelo, although Canelo fought Floyd Mayweather, he did have. They got a point where you strip away Floyd. Let me land.
Okay.
I started caring about Canelo Alvarez without caring about the Floyd Mayweather fight. Let me now see if I can care about a David Benavidez fight without any association with Canelo Alvarez.
That's fair.
That's what I need to see now that you have a champion.
It's fair if you're being genuine. If you're being genuine, that's fair. What I will say in that comparison, the only thing I disagree with, Canelo already had a machine behind him.
Okay.
When for me, that Mayweather fight, I'm sorry, it was at 152. The way that people make that fight seem.
But to the outside looking in, that was like bang.
I never held that fight against Canelo.
No, he did have wins before. I understand what you mean, and it wasn't just a case of it's another Mexican fighter or something. It was someone that looked like that next star. But my whole point being is you were able to care about this guy, without caring about one particular fight. And then obviously it became a Triple G type of thing where we want to see you guys fight. Fine, there was your common enemy there, and you did that. That's what I need to see now with David Benavidez. Can you make me care about you? Well, yes, I'm going to stay up and watch your fight. It's the same way I watched Gervonta Davis's fight. Do I care about Tank Davis? Honestly, not as much as a lot of people. There's only one fight associated with it, similar to Shakur, but can I now care about you without a mention of Canelo Alvarez on commentary or anything like that. Like, I don't want to hear his name. You do your thing, then I can have a conversation about, okay, maybe you are what you are and you have a genuine fan base. That's my only thing with Benavidez right now.
Yeah, that's fair. What I will say is Raz made some interesting comments because let's go to the second to last one. It goes, Americans are salty when they see Russian and European fighters dominate, so they deal with it by pretending like their fighters in a bubble are the best. I agree. I absolutely agree.
I agree, but I'm not going to put Wilder in it. I don't think Americans have really had that with Wilder. For me,
Absolutely.
They were right. They were right in where they categorized him as the scariest puncher in boxing, stuff like that. I think a lot of Americans was more critical about Deontay Wilder.
You are being way more empathetic than you should be.
I think
honestly, I think it's both. I think what you're saying is true, but I also feel like the Americans still. I get it because Americans' history in boxing. You know how it is, American pride and patriotism.
Listen,
They still thought Wilder was, as much as they didn't rate Wilder. It was almost like America was just like, we may not rate Wilder as much,
but we're gonna
he's
force
still better
you.
than your guys.
Yeah.
No, not even gonna force. They still think that Wilder's better than everyone else, and it's like Ross said, with the Russians and European fighters dominating right now, they don't like it. The same way it's like they try to find ways to poke holes in a way, and they're all like, oh, why doesn't Inoue go up to lightweight? And it's just like, yeah, do you want him to just go up to 3 weight classes? Like, yes, I get, and they're gonna say, well, Pacquiao did it. The anomaly is not the rule. The anomaly is not the rule. And furthermore, PBC, the reason why boxing, before Turkey came in, the reason why boxing became, in the hole that it went into was because of PBC's policy of like doubling down on the isolation policy. We almost didn't get Bud first Spence because, because of that isolation policy. And I'm, me, I'm an Al Heyman guy, but it was getting to the point where, PBC was ruining American boxing because they were isolating their fighters too much. And the fact that Spence and Bud would never have happened if Spence basically just said, cut the ball crap, let's make this fight.
But I'll be very honest with you. People are going to hate me for this. They're going to call me an American lover.
Yeah.
Nothing hits better than a top American fight for me still.
Yes and no.
There is something about it, and it doesn't need a stadium. It doesn't need 40,000. It needs 18 to 20,000 in Las Vegas, in MSG, wherever. And if it is the top 2 somehow in America, I'm there.
But when was, other than Spence Crawford, when was the last time that happened?
You could argue Haney Garcia to a point.
No, because that's not.
They were the top 2. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like right now, the only top American fight is Shakur and Tank.
Yeah, and look how they've once again the PBC isolation policy. Look how they've treated Shakur when he became a free agent. That was the best time to just say, here's a fair break. We'll do this fight. And now it's just like Shakur's in a weird situation because of his fighting style. It's like no one wants to face him. And you've got people like Floyd Schofield doing the whole weird dropping out the week of the fight and then training a week. No, it weren't dropping out the week of the fight. Listen, same thing happened to Dubois, but
it's happened on Instagram afterwards.
No, but it's not even that. Dubois also wasn't put in video of him training a week after.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is what?
Whereas Floyd was just like,
I'm healthy.
Training straight after, and I was just like, wait, weren't you hospitalized? How are you like? It wasn't even that you was in training. You was looking sharp, and and Shakur's in this weird position where it's like he's too dangerous to want to face him, and people don't believe that there's money in taking the risk yet. Hence why even Golden Boy Protection Program, where it's like they're also not allowing Cepeda, who's been I've never seen a mandatory run away from his title shot so much as I've seen Cepeda run away from Shakur.
I mean, I'm not going to say he did run away.
Not to
But he
close
didn't
memory.
push. He didn't push for him as much, Boatsy at times. He didn't push for him
No,
as much.
but the difference
I know
is
what you mean. I know what you mean, though.
Boatsy, yeah, definitely. But at least no, Boatsy was more like he was being too cautious. Where Cepeda's actually like, yo, there's nothing blocking you from getting your title shot. You can take this. And Cepeda's actively coming up with, not even Cepeda, let me say, Oscar is coming up with every single excuse. You know how Oscar is. He tries to bleed dry all of his Mexican fighters before he gets them the title shot. He done the same with Munguia, and then he got whooped for it. Done the same with Azurdo, he got whooped for it. And now he's doing the same with Cepeda, who will get whooped by Shakur. That is a fact. And and all the Cepeda supporters, if you don't believe that, then get onto your guy to make the fight. Or get into Oscar to make that fight. Climb up to Oscar to make that fight and prove me wrong.
I'll be honest with you. I'm so happy that people are liking Shakur again. Because there was a little period where there was.
I don't think they like him.
You don't think?
People don't like. And I'll say this: Shakur makes it hard to like him. However, when you are that good, there does come to a certain point where it's like, I don't care if I don't like you, but the guy is ducking you. This is getting frustrating now. I think that's what it is. People, there's certain fighters where even if I don't like you, I can recognize your greatness. And I think with Shakur, it's getting to the point where I don't care if I don't like you, but this is getting ridiculous of the amount of people that's avoiding you. Like, I want to see you fight the best. And I think that's what's happening with Shakur.
Just quickly go through a couple of comments.
Yeah.
Zara saying Cepeda's a bum. Shakur beats him 12-0. Yeah, I agree with that. Eric saying email champions are now celebrated.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here on the first show back and berate Benavidez. I'm just going to... You've got your opportunity.
Live your truth.
If you fumble at the 1 yard line again, I don't want to hear any conversation about this man having an opportunity against the greatest Mexican of all time. But that being said,
how did we get hit? For someone that keeps on saying you want Benavidez to be mentioned without Canelo, you sure mention Canelo a lot.
I do, but I'm allowed to do it. I'm the anomaly.
No, you're the hypocrite.
I'm the anomaly.
You're the hypocrite. Because for someone who doesn't,
I'm the anomaly in this one.
Do you know what's funny? I was about to ask, who are the potential opponents for Benavidez to face, before he gets, because I don't think this is where it gets annoying. If PBC don't work with Matchroom, because for me, the first good fight I'd say is Smith.
Yeah.
The Smith fight is right there for him. The Yard fight is potentially also there for him. I don't know. I think actually, to be fair, PBC might work with Frank Warren. I don't see the blockers
for Yard.
Yeah, I think I would hope so. So, there's some decent fights for Benavidez to get to defend his title. I'm just hoping that PBC don't try to do it.
Yeah, listen,
I got a feeling they're going to give Benavidez a stupid fight for his first defense. I got a feeling.
Like an easy gimme fight that no one's going to care about.
Sorry?
Like an easy fight that no one will care about.
Yeah, and I don't think that's good, because right now Benavidez needs a win over a decent fighter.
Yeah,
he actually needs a fight against. Like the Morrell fight was a good win to have, but in order for Benavidez to become the guy that he can be, he needs a good fight. I'm not too familiar with Jesse Hart, I'll be honest with you. Eric said Jesse Hart.
Same.
Ra saying conspiracy theory for you. WBC have Benner a title at 175 to protect Canelo from him and Bivol. Wait, so what are you saying? Elaborate on that, Ra.
Are you saying that they don't want him to fight Canelo and Bivol? I don't buy that, but I do think for Dimitri Bivol, the trilogy fight is more difficult than it is Benavidez.
Wait, say that again, please.
So the fight against Beterbiev is more difficult than a fight against David Benavidez.
Yeah. Listen, like I said before, when it comes to Bivol, Sorry, Benavidez. He, by his own standards, not by the rest of the, because by the rest of the field, he's better than the rest of you guys. By his own standards, Benavidez has maybe dropped down a level. He's still more dangerous than the rest of the division. However, from the latter rounds in their rematch, I saw a Benavidez that wanted to, but couldn't drive up to a gear that he normally does. Because I remember like the first fight, the later rounds, when his corner said, "Yo, Arthur, we need this." Benavidez rallied in those later rounds, and he took 10-12. He took it from Bivol. He tried to do it again this fight, and I could tell Arthur was like, not even Arthur. I think his body was showing, "Yo, I can't go up that gear that you need me to go up. Like, you can't." Sometimes the human body can only go so much, and I'm sure Arthur's got the heart for it. Arthur's got the will for it. But if your body is saying, "I ain't got the gears to go there again, rude boy," it is what it is. Unfortunately for the rest of the field, the same way, I guess it was similar with Triple G. When Triple G was still on the quote-unquote decline, he was still better than a lot of the super middleweight division. The same way Arthur, yeah, his slight decline is still better than the rest of the division. So is the way it is.
This is what I was saying. So WBC takes orders from Canelo. This keeps them locked up at 175, excusing Canelo from moving back up. And
oh, for sure, I agree with that.
Do you think the WBC takes orders from Canelo?
Yes. Listen,
I don't anymore.
The C in WBC might stand for Canelo.
I don't believe it is.
Listen, WBC, aka World Boxing Council, aka We Be Crooks, aka We Back Canelo. That's the new one.
I don't think they do as much as they used to. There is still a case of what Canelo wants, Canelo will get. But I do think this relationship between Turkey and Mauricio Sulaiman, that the way that is, and the fact that Canelo has optionally chosen to now sign 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season, does leave a little bit of a bad taste in the WBC.
Listen, let me tell you something. There's a famous quote from The Wire where it goes, "If you follow the drugs, you get drug money and drug dealers." Oh, wait. No. Drug takers and drug dealers. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Let me paraphrase it. But if you follow the money, you don't know what you're going to see. And with WBC, I feel like they were at first showing Canelo that Canelo was the drug. They were following Canelo. And then later down the line, you start to realize when Canelo's, his power's starting to fade a bit, WBC followed the money. Turkey bought the money. So they said, that's what we're following now. And now Canelo, that's why I think Canelo's also left the WBC a bit, because he's starting to realize my powers ain't what they used to be. Commercial-wise, I'm not even talking about like...
You don't think commercially?
I think boxing, I've been saying this for a while. Boxing commercially is in a decline, and it doesn't help with boxing going to the zone. And I like the platform. However, in order for the sport to grow, I'm saying for the sport to grow, I'm not talking about individual boxing brands. For the sport to grow, it needs to be on platforms that can spread the sport. And this ain't no fault of the zone. I'm talking about the failed attempts with Boxer on Sky Sports, with Queensbury now leaving BT Sport.
I think Queensbury was always going to go though.
Yeah, okay, true. But I mean, in terms of those type of traditional channels not having boxing is going to be a disservice to boxing. Furthermore, boxing not being available on channels like ITV no more. Because I get it, because people might argue about Wasserman's on Channel 5. Let's be honest.
That's a niche. That's very niche.
Yeah, that's even niche in itself. But I mean, for me, I remember growing up and having boxing on ITV and big fights. I mean, PBC used to have their big fights on ITV. And exposure like that, we've had these chats before. I don't know who's going to be the next big stars. Like the current crop of stars now are going to leave the sport, and after that, we're going to have. I've always called it vanity metric stars, and And what I mean by vanity metric stars
Instagram
is,
boys.
yeah, everyone's, oh, look at me, I'm popular on the internet. There's a whole bunch of rappers that are popular and they don't sell. There's a whole bunch of rappers, oh, check my YouTube videos, check this. When it comes to album sales, they're not doing the sales, rude boy. When it comes to arena tours, they're not doing the sales.
You know what they're doing though? They're
What's
doing
that?
it's like now you may not sell albums,
Mhm.
but what you'll do is you'll do good streams. You may not necessarily do good views on the day, but you'll do good YouTube views later on.
Is through gaze you've got, and this is the funny thing. This is why I go say vanity metrics. The money that you get from streams isn't even as good as the money you'd get from pure sales. So yeah, you're gonna parade about, oh, I done this million streams and everything, and in reality, that vanity metric looks good. Yeah, I done 50 million streams, and then you break down the actual value of 50 million streams, and it's not that. The same way you go on Instagram and you can be like, oh yeah, but I've got this many impressions on this, and I've got this many people following me, and I've got this many YouTube things. And then guess what? When it comes to, yo, can you sell your arena? Yeah, because you know how much I got love for this guy, even though he may not be the greatest. George Kambosos probably doesn't have the Instagram or the social media following of
I
some
think
of
he
his
does.
compatriots.
Yeah, but he has. So this is the
But
thing
this
with
is what I
George.
mean about real numbers. When it comes to arenas, when it comes to seats, Kambosos can get it done. And I'm sure his vanity metrics aren't what the field is.
Do you know what's funny? I look at his. You know that when people say you can buy Instagram followers.
Yeah.
I feel like some of these guys, not necessarily the bought Instagram followers, but these followers aren't following you for you as a fighter.
They're not following for you for
They are
boxing.
following for George. They are following for George as a fighter as much as
For sure.
he's thinking.
This is what I mean.
They're
That's
not
what I mean. That's
following. They're
real.
not following Tio like that and stuff like that. They're not.
George has real engagement. If you've ever seen George on social media, you can tell that George gets genuine engagement. Even though I don't know his numbers, I'm not on Instagram, so I might not be able to check his like actual followers. But I'm sure there's all these fighters, like it's like Richardson Hitchens has been calling out Kambosos. Yeah, he'll probably beat Kambosos. But are you gonna sell out, Madison Square Hulu Theatre? Because I bet you any money, if you have that fight in Australia, Kambosos can do good in an arena. So then, wait, Kambosos has the ethnic novelty factor. I agree and disagree at the same time. I feel like he's hit a lucky time where Australia needed a guy, and he stepped up.
And he had a promoter who pushed it. Because
I won't even say a promoter, because for me, Lou DiBella was his promoter. He's not the biggest promoter, but the difference is when it came time to promote himself, George Kambosos went on a media tour like I have never. My goodness,
you saw him everywhere.
If there's ever been an example of seizing a moment, George Kambosos is it. He got a victory over Tio, and he made sure the world knew. He made sure anyone that could potentially listen, he made sure you are going to know my name for this Tio win. And that's what he's lived off. And the people that try to make fun of him for that, I'm like, the joke's on you, because that guy
he's rich.
He's rich. This is a guy that was known as Manny Pacquiao's sparring partner. And now, years on from that win over Tio, his name is still in rotation. So say what you want about him.
It's not just in rotation, it's in rotation for fights that can matter or do matter now as well. So he's relevant. He's relevant. But I do want to just quickly skim to heavyweights quickly before we wrap up. Gloss over DAZN's opening. I mean, not DAZN, Queensberry's first night on DAZN, headlined by Joyce and Hrgovic. What's that saying? Put the fries in the bag.
I'm not going to be as harsh to Joyce, because he's really given himself to the sport.
He has. But I'll be honest with you. 2 weeks notice, Hrgovic. I was there ringside. I promise you, there was not a moment in that fight that I looked at and thought Hrgovic is going to lose.
Listen, man. in the infamous words of Adrian Broner, take the L out of lover, is over, brother. Like it, and we thought it was over in his last fight against Chisora, but this fight all but confirmed, and I'm hoping that he's got enough money in the bank to.
Oh, he's been compensated well over his career.
I won't listen, man. I hope so.
But they did fumble it. They fumbled it, but I can't say they fumbled it. But
they didn't fumble it. He played spoiler. He wasn't meant to be the guy that went on to do what he done, and he wasn't progressed like he should have been.
Raj just quickly saying this, right? Should fight other vets like Wilder and Dillian White. Personally,
he's getting sparked. The guy is slow.
As much as people
his
say
cognitive skills
do
not seem to be there for him to react. That's
I am interested. This is what I will say. I am interested in seeing Deontay come back, even though the opponent is literally a gimme opponent, and he should finish that fight within 4 to 5 rounds.
Do you know the difference though? Deontay Wilder, his body has slowed down, but cognitively he's still there.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like with Joe
Actually, I can't even say that, because did you see what he did when he got knocked out by Zhang? He turned his back.
Oh yeah.
There was no brain cells there.
No, I don't.
And that hurt me.
I think that's a choice of his body went in protection mode, and as a fighter, it's like you almost have to program your body to go against that, and he let his body win. Whereas Joe Joyce is like, if he tells his body turn right, it takes a while for him to turn right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Cognitively, it's not even just physical wise, because just like I was saying about Benavidez, I can tell like you want your body to do something and it can't. That's different. But when cognitive wise, it's like your mind is taking its time to do things and compute. And obviously, there's the scary interview done with JD Dyer where everyone was just like, yo, this guy has just frozen in front of us. That hurt to see, man. I like even Joe should fight on White. No, actually, I think White wins that, to be honest. At this point, maybe Yoka's the only one where I might say they're both so washed, but I don't want to see Joe Joyce fight on, man.
The final thing we're going to talk about, Jarrell Miller and Fabio Wardley. I'm going to say something super controversial at this point. I think we need to get over the drugs ban with Jarrell Miller.
What? I'm already over it.
That's what. Thank you. The amount of people that say we're rewarding a drug sheet. Now, listen, we are over it. The same way other people have drugs issues, we get over it. I'm over it. Now, has he done anything special? He drew to Ruiz, lost to Daniel.
What's that going on?
So is he actually really in a position where he should be fighting a Fabio Wardley? Probably not. But sometimes there's name value, and sometimes your name value takes you further than your actual skill set or your actual record is in your last few fights. And that's what Jarrell Miller is right now. There's a bit of name value to it, and he can come and play spoiler because it's heavyweight boxing. But I'm putting it out there. I am so over this drugs thing. I'm so over people on Twitter saying we're rewarding drugs cheaters, etc. No, we're not. We're progressing with life. As you are when you've been drunk the night before and you carried on.
Progressing with life. Honestly speaking, I think it is. Yo, this guy is not touching. It's different. If Jarrell Miller's like getting opportunities that. Who's someone that. Even like if Jarrell Miller was getting opportunities of the equivalent of George Kambosos, because obviously George Kambosos has ended up in a lot of title shots, and people might have looked at it and said, "How does he keep on getting these title shots?" If Jarrell Miller was in that position, I would understand. This guy's just been having fun fights. So if people want to fight him after what he's done, and he just wants to be in entertaining fights, call me a hypocrite. Call me a lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Call it a lack of fighter care.
Just let him do it.
I don't. If Miller wants to fight that fight, and other fighters want to fight that fight, let them have it.
This is what I will say, right? So he was there on Saturday.
Finish what you said, but put what Raz put up. I didn't say it in it. Ra said this.
The
But carry on with your
final point. Do I really want to
for the
put that
final
one up?
one. I didn't say it. Ra said it. But you finish your point. But put out what Ra said.
And then
Please.
you're gonna read the point. When I saw Jarrell on Saturday, it was off camera and everything. He just goes, "Look, I'm here and I'm gonna play spoiler and I'm gonna have some fun with it." So that's what I mean. Jarrell Miller is here to play spoiler because he knows what he's doing and he has a chance to do it. But that's where my point goes to Fabio Wardley. How much pressure does he have in this fight?
I think he's having fun with it. I think, and
Fabio Wardley.
I had this discussion
Okay.
with my friend Ozzy. Shout out Ozzy. He was saying how he didn't like how Wardley came off in that press conference. I disagree because he was saying that Miller punked him, this, that, and the third. And I said, Wardley is a stoic guy, very dark at times, but he's not an extroverted character. I would have hated if Wardley started acting extroverted in a way that's not normal to him because Miller started hyping up. I think the two complement each other well as yin and yang. You have the obnoxious American in Miller who's doing the right thing, hyping this fight, and I like what he's doing. Then you got Wardley who's there and he speaks with assertiveness, a calm assertiveness that I think is missing from boxing, where it's genuine like, no, I think I'm going to beat you up. I'm not going to hype it. But I'm telling you now, like the confidence he's speaking of is like there's an assurance with it without having to do too much. And I like that from Wardley. Wardley is like, yeah, listen, don't do all that trash talk because I will beat you up. And I remember he had the same demeanor with Adelaide. He had the same demeanor with Fraser Clark. And there's like a dark energy to it where it's just like, oh, I'm not going to hype it up. I'm going to F you up, but I'm not going to do all the rah-rah. But just remember you said that. And he was doing the same thing to Miller. Wardley was talking grease. But just because he's not doing all the rah-rah, it doesn't mean that he's not confident. I think Wardley is very confident. I think Wardley wants to absolutely put a beating and hurting on him. He's just not going to do all the theatrics that come with it. And sometimes, I always say this in boxing, we need to promote balance. We need to be able to promote intensity over aggressiveness. There's a difference. I like intense fighters. I think Wardley, I'll put in that category of intense people, but he's not going to do all the rah-rah. Sometimes we need that. I don't want everyone. I like Miller the way he is, and I like Wardley the way he is. It's yin and yang. It's not yin and yang. Make it be yin and yang.
I'm going to give you the final comment here because this is a doctor that's worked with one of my favorite fighters. So
I didn't say it. Ra said it.
All I will say is
I'm not going to oppose it, but Ra said it. That's all I'm saying.
All I'm going to say is, when does Triple G come back? And what fight is there for Triple G?
Sorry, I thought you said Triple G for a second. I was getting
Triple
scared.
D.
Oh my gosh, my heart. I was like, let him rest.
I know this sounds weird. What fight is there for him outside of... Oh, yes. How am I forgetting this?
Which is nasty work.
How am I forgetting this? I apologize. I'm going to see my boy become world champion in this final fight.
Listen, I don't know. Frank Warren, yeah. How if they muster up this fight, if they do this fight, yeah, this has to be some of the nastiest matchmaking. But at the same time, shout out Chisora for getting this last payday. But how Chisora managed to get IBF #1 contender, and I'm more happy because obviously Joseph Parker got screwed over in the whole dropping out thing. And it looked like they were going to make the undisputed fight, but thankfully it looks like Joseph Parker's going to get the Usyk fight. So if Joseph Parker gets his shot against Usyk, then go take that fight. And then as for Dubois, hot take, if Derek wins if Stan Dubois isn't in his son's corner, Ra has been coming up with the most crazy conspiracies throughout this whole chat. I don't even. We're gonna tune into Ra's show on Thursday because I need you to connect the dots, Ra. You need to on Thursday. You need to connect these dots because some of these theories that you're coming up with is crazy. But Triple D versus Chisora might be the fight. It's nasty.
I would love it.
It's nasty in a good way.
Yeah.
It is very nasty.
I don't think it's nasty. I don't think it's nasty. I think
it's like that.
The reason
junk
is
food. It's like junk food, and
okay.
you know
The
this
reason
is bad for you,
no,
but you're still
the reason I'm not mad at this one is realistically, it's not holding back anybody who deserves it, in my opinion. It's not holding back an undisputed fight that we know should happen or is happening or is. It's what I call a celebration. Now, you may not like that, but you know what I feel about certain fighters being allowed a celebration. And that's what it is for me. I think it's a celebration fight for Derek Chisora. It's a first defense for Daniel Dubois, and it's going to be his last defense, sadly, because you know what's going to happen. You know what? Well, technically, if I'm not wrong, he already had his first defense against Anthony Joshua officially. He did technically have his official first defense. So, okay, it's his second and final defense because Derek, we're going to become world champions and we're going to eat 5 guys together again.
That is hilarious. I'll just be more happier for Derek Chisora to get his.
Wait, would you be more happy for Derek Chisora being champion or me witnessing it live?
I'll be more happy for you, but Derek Chisora is in that belt. I'm sorry.
If Derek he does,
Chisora, but the farewell, and do you know what? Why it might even be a better farewell? Because as harsh as this sounds, if Dubois gives Derek a beating, if Dubois gives Derek a beating, it will be the best farewell for him because then he'll be like, you know what? I don't need this no more. I'm out. And I've always said this, for some fighters, you absolutely need to beat them up for them to finally retire. And sometimes that's the best thing to happen to someone. And if this is the case for Derek, where it's just like an absolute beating from Triple D, you know, stops him from wanting to come back and it also gets him his payday, then so be it.
Listen, guys, I hear it. I don't want that to happen. I never want to see my boy get hurt. But we are going to wrap up today's episode. It feels nice to be back. I do fly out next week, but we're going to find a way to work around it. It's the big one for me. If I can get into Vegas, I'll get to see WrestleMania.
Inshallah.
I'll get to see John Cena become a 17-time champion. And Rico, you need to send me.
I don't know about that.
You need to send me your shirt size because I need to bring you a t-shirt back. I will bring you a t-shirt back. I will spend $60 plus gratuity, plus the whole thing. Even if it costs me $100, you are getting a t-shirt if Cena wins.
Come on, man.
But hey, listen, your boy's back in action, Jaron Ennis, this weekend as well.
Oh, I didn't realize this weekend. Oh, that's been under the radar.
That's what I mean. It's hard. It's hard to really care about it.
Yikes!
Are you realizing what I'm realizing?
What's that?
People don't really care. It's all right to say. It's okay to say.
No. Here's what I'll say about Jaron Ennis, and this goes back to my point about stars not being made in boxing no more. Jaron Ennis now. I think no, not even that. I think Eddie Hearn has a big task on his hand to make people care about Jaron Ennis. And I feel like he's up for the task. So I'm hoping for the sake of both of them, Eddie Hearn is doing what he can to get, because America's been up wanting, a big star for a while. Jaron Ennis can be that guy, but he's in a division that's very lackluster at the moment. So Eddie's got the big task of Ennis, trying to make Ennis a star. His last 2 fights have been lackluster because he hasn't faced the best of opponents. That's like star-wise the best for him. This is like the unified title fight. This is the fight where Ennis, the eyes are going to be on you. So, and this ain't pay-per-view. This this once again goes to my issue with boxing, where it's
Still
not
in
on
the pale.
platforms. It's not. It's on the zone. It's not. I feel like boxing should. Don't get me wrong. I like what the concept of the zone, but I still feel like they need to start partnering with other stations to make it more public access.
This is the problem. When they do it, it's always the pay-per-view things.
Yeah,
It's
but
never a
it needs
case
to
of
be
yeah, I
without
know.
pay-per-view. But obviously, I don't know. That
I
goes.
can
I don't
never
know
see
about
that
the
happen.
partnerships and commercial
Yeah.
teams. That becomes a financial thing, and I'm not going to tell them how to run their ship. But what I will say is, Ennis needs a big performance. This is right now. Boxing's in a bit of a quiet time, so Ennis needs to really, really, really step up and make a big performance. But on a final note, we started with, what did we start with? Finally. So now I'm going to end it with this. If you smell what Abbas and Stay Weighed In is cooking.
Peace. Lakers in 5.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. Light up my card with a sweet one blaze. Someone flicks me a back by the Say, oh, it's another one, yeah, it's a full strand, yeah. Oh.